You'll be okay. It'll be gone for just a second.
All right, and we are live. Welcome to Geekgasm, you guys. We've got
Hello.
Lola, Daphne, myself, Meredith, Mog Park, Nita Lanning, and Trish Bankston. And we'll be right back after we do this station identification and show. And
Welcome back.
Volt. This is Geekgasm. Let's go around the room. Lola, go ahead and introduce yourself to our lovely, amazing audience.
I am Lola, the Indie Princess, and I am the host along with Daphne and Meredith of Geekgasm.
And Daphne, let's go with you.
Oh, hello. And I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I'm known for the funny animal fantasy Tall Tales and my medieval drama Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is currently at the halfway mark on Kickstarter right now. You can read both my comics. You can read both my comics for free on talltalesonline.com. That's TAILS, and at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can watch my videos on how I make these comics at YouTube at Daphne Lage Art, where I just also hit the 850 subscriber milestone. So thank you all.
Wow.
Woo, very cool.
Thank you.
Now, I know there's a little bit of feedback. I don't know where it's coming from. So maybe we can try and mute ourselves. And when we want to talk, we just unmute and that way, because what happens is, for anybody who's listening, when more than one person talks, or if there's background noise, a lot of times it cancels it out, and then you don't hear a damn thing. And we don't want that to happen. We want you to hear every word that we ladies have to say. Mog Park, let's get you up here and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mog. I'm an illustrator, so I do everything from commercial shells to like book covers, game arts, comic covers, all that jazz. And check me out on Mog Park, simple like my name here, Facebook, and you can see what I'm working on. So
yeah, you've got some pretty cool stuff. Nita Lanning, go ahead, girl.
My name is Nita Lanning, and I write blogs on wildoneforever.com. I have recently scripted some comic book pages with Meredith, and that'll be coming up in the future. And sometimes I fancy myself a poet.
And Trish Bankston, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Trish. I'm a huge fan of indies, regular comics, horror movies, anything that's, if it's a geeky thing, I'm into it. So that's me.
All right, you guys, and I'm Meredith Lochren. I am the associate editor of the Geek Insider website, as well as the executive producer of the Geek Insider podcast, a co-chair here for Indie Vault Geekgasm with Daphne Lage and Ms. Lola. I consider myself the third chair, so make sure that you head over to, as my dog squeaks in the background, make sure that you head over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and share this out to your friends, because the more subscribers that they get, they can get super chats, they can start monetizing the channels, and that's everybody here who has a YouTube channel. Make sure that you check us all out and hit the subscribe button. Daphne, oh my gosh, 850 subscribers.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Girl, I just want to hit 150. I would be happy.
Well, it took a while. So
sure, yeah, a whole body of work and stuff like that. So let's get going. Lola, let's talk about your shoe cam. What the heck are you wearing? Let's put you up on the big screen here.
There.
Yeah.
See it?
They're like a champagne color.
Like bedazzled.
Right.
They're all silver and they're shiny.
And anybody who wishes to, there is a way to tip Ms. Lola. You can go to streamlabs.com/indievolt/tips. And also in the show notes, there is going to be a link to her wish list on Amazon.
There it is.
That's kind of cool. I wish people would send me stuff. But I wouldn't do the shoe thing. I totally would not do the shoe thing.
We would be the pajama can.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like cotton comfies all the way.
Now, Meredith, no offense, if you ask for stuff, you have to give out your address to receive said stuff.
That is
P.O. box.
true.
P.O. box.
Yeah, I don't have a P.O. box.
Meredith
so-
knows what I'm talking about. She asked for something, and Trish has asked her twice now for her address.
Did I? Oh, man. All right. Well, you know what, Trish, I don't think you're a creepy stalker or anything like that. So
No,
I thought I said that.
behind me on the thing. I have it right here. I will point it out to what everybody you want it. I'm like, see, I was like,
Ooh.
see, part
Ooh.
one.
Hold on.
Okay.
It's coming my way. Yes, it is, folks. It's coming my way.
Yes. As soon as Meredith sends me her address, it is on the way.
I love getting stuff. Okay, so you know what? I definitely want to go around and talk about, because Daphne, you've got, I think your Kickstarter ends soon
February
after mine.
3rd. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
but if
mine ends in 7 days.
If you would allow me a little fangirl moment, Mog, your artwork is gorgeous. I just have to mention that. It's nice to finally meet you, and it's like your artwork is just incredible. Well, thank you for sharing with the rest of us.
You've got a pretty impressive resume, Mog. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess I worked. I have an illustration, like traditional illustration background, and then from then on, I tried to get into manga, and I had an offer by one of the publishing company at that time was Tokyo Pop, and then that kind of got dropped because the company folded. And then after that, I was just aiming for just to be kind of like a book cover illustration or something like that, but just an illustrator, right? And then lo and behold, I'm a huge like book reader. I love books. I love stories in general. So I was a huge fan of Game of Thrones. Before even the show started, I was aware, because I'm a huge fantasy geek. Like I love anything fantasy. I would just consume anything. And except for some reason D&D, and then I never got into that. And then I just started illustrating the characters or scenes from the book, and I had no intentions of becoming like that. And then one day, and then the show started, and then the producer saw my work, and then they asked me if I want to work for them.
Wow.
So I started working for the TV Game of Thrones shows for about, I would say, 6 years or something like that, 7 years. And then after that was nice, great. And I was thinking, what do I do? And then people started luckily, they started approaching me, and I did some game design, a lot of sets, like just background stuff. And then after that, I always like my partner, my husband. He's my manager, actually. He's huge.
I'm just petting Mog because I just want to be that close.
Okay, all right, like this. Okay. He's a huge comic book collector. He's like an obsessed lover of comics. And I don't know much about that world, and because naturally he knows all about that, he was coaching me like, okay, now let's get into this industry, because he loves it, and I actually love comics too, but I'm more of a like international comics, like European comics, or like manga, like manhwa. I'm from that background, so naturally, like reading graphic novels was always, like working in graphic novels was always my aim. So I didn't care if it was comics or whatever, as long as it's a graphic novel. And then, so now, again, luckily, while I was tabling people's publishers approach me, independent publishers approach me, they're much cooler. They're just chill people, and they're like, "Hey, you want to do a cover for me?" It's like, "Oh my god, yes!" And then it's slowly rolling, and now I'm just getting more and more gigs, and I love I get to know more of the independent comics because of my work, and I love it. I love the works, and I love like reading about them and discovering. It's like hidden gemstones that you just don't know. That's not like the Marvel thing, and I love supporting that. And whenever I do a cover for anybody, I try to me and my partner, my manager, we try everything we can to help promote the publisher as well, independent publishers. I mean, we're not just gonna like do a cover art. We also try to cross market and do everything we can. And I just by doing the joint venturing and working, the cooperation part is like fantastic. I had never predicted when I first started this career that I would be this social. Because I'm not much of a social person, but it just like happened to be like that, and I am enjoying that process as well. So,
well, Mog, I wanted to ask you because I know I participated in 101 Tales with you, and that was a big project at the end of the year. Is that something that you guys are going to do again?
I believe so, but that's a 3-man endeavor. Like, An is the one who is like the main guy, so we have to go through her. Like, we have to go through her schedule mainly, but we would love to do it again.
All right, cool. And what I want to do is pop up one of these questions here. This is from Ashley. And now, guys, I haven't seen any of these questions, so I have no idea what it's going to be. But we'll pop that up on the splash here.
Just to give us that warning.
Blah. What was the most difficult thing about breaking into the comic book industry? And that is from Ashley. Who wants to go first? And again, if you want to say anything so that we're not canceling each other out, or just kind of raise your hand or take yourself off of mute, and then we can answer that. So what was the most difficult thing about breaking into the comic book industry?
I'll start with that because okay. I honestly, the hardest thing about breaking into comics is actually doing the work. It's like, because in the end, it all boils down to actually doing those 24 or 32 pages or the 8 pages for an anthology or whatever it is that you're doing. In the end, that's the hardest part, just sitting down and doing the work and knowing when to just let it get out there, as opposed to like letting the obsession with perfection kind of like overwhelm you. It's like, don't worry about perfection. Just get it out. You're going to improve anyway. So just keep it moving.
Ms. Lola, you are working on your comic book.
I am, but I've been a publisher for a while now with Last Call Comics.
So publisher and creator, 2 totally different animals.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest challenge as far as your comic book then?
I don't know. As far as my comic, I mean, the most difficult thing I came across was I had someone lined up to do the coloring and the art. That fell through. Mm-hmm. So then I had to find somebody else. Mm-hmm. But in the very beginning, probably learning how to write a comic book script. Mm. And then for the publishing company, building up your fan base, your followers.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. Nita, I know that you are working on a script. Actually, you sent me one. And my art is not up to par, but I'm going to try because it's just something that we double dared each other to do. What was that like for you? Because I know you're a prose writer as well as poetry.
That was difficult. Losing my dialogue, and I felt like It was easier because it was going to you, because I feel like we can have the same visions. So your art portraying what I have in my head, I can see that happening. But it dropping dialogue, oh my god, like it's hard. It was like, I don't know, it just felt like I was sacrificing my baby.
I feel that so much because I was working on the 8 pages for The Dying, and Nita and I, for anybody who's tuning in, we were on like a StreamYard sharing the screen, and I'm going, it's too busy. There's something wrong with this. It's shit. It's shit. And she's like, yeah, it is a little busy. And so we kind of worked on the dialogue. So that was that had to be sacrificed a little bit. And I think in the long run, it became better. So that was really hard going from prose, because to writing all of the descriptions to cutting that down and saying, well, all of those descriptions are now artist notes. And I'm going to tip the hat to Mog with that and ask her a follow-up question with that. But so those descriptions now become like artist notes, and then the dialogue has to be trimmed down, and then you have to sacrifice some of those words as a writer. That kills me, to make sure that the whole thing flows, the visual journey, as well as the words. Mog, when it comes to covers and things like that, and I don't even know, I think you've done sequential art. Have you done sequential art?
I think professionally, just once.
Okay. No. So what is it like for you to get? I mean, I'm sure you've had crappy notes and like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? What was that like for you? Or what is the process like for you?
When I got the script to do the
when you got the script and things, and it's like you're now as the artist, you have to make somebody's words come alive. Stress there. I mean, what is that like?
I think it's case by case. I'm not really supposed to say this, but I might actually be doing more interior works this year. So it's a good question that you're asking. And also based on my past experience reading scripts and trying to interpret it and then make it into a visual like media. The hardest part is sometimes it's understanding the writer, because it really depends. Like some writers, they're very, I think, visual thinkers. So they would more like write abstract words, like sentences, like bare minimum. Here, bam, bam, bam. Like a 1 page is only like maybe 5 sentences for 1 page sequence. And he's like, they understand like what they think, so they know what to write. So this is it. Do your work. And I love that because they're giving me the bare facts. Like the more facts that you give me, just visual cues, the better. But there's also other writers who I think are very, they love writing as itself, as the artwork. And I think with visual media, it's a bit of a, I think, tough transition. So sometimes they would write for 1 page, like it takes 2 pages of descriptive writing for that. And then they try to put so many into one thing. So the frustrating part for me is like designing it, because it seems like I'm dealing with people who don't know visual design. And I'm sure in their head when they write it, it's fantastic. It's like, this is a story, because a story is important to them. But as a visual person who is trying to convey that in a visual way, I know right away, like when I read it, it's like, okay, dude, you can't have 13 things going in all at once in one panel. Like there are certain things where you can like slow down and make it really visually impactful, but it's a different totally muscle that most people, I have to say 99% people don't have. It's very rare you find a writer, especially a comic book writer, who thinks in the visual sense and then write it, versus just a writer who wants to write the story. And I think that's the frustrating part sometimes when I get these massive scripts for like one page or something, or they try to put too much or maybe too less, whatever it is. It's like visually, I know right off the bat, because I'm visually that way. I mean, I have experience because I'm trained that way. So when I see that, I'm like, whoa, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna look good, man. So the communication part of trying to be like, oh, okay, do you wanna? I'll do my best. But at the end, like, do you want to try maybe making it look like this? Because it might be better. And then, it's really getting to know the authors too, because it's sometimes, even though I do that, I could step on their ego or whatever, their personality, and they don't like that. So I have to work around that too. So if I get people like that, then I don't care. Like, I just gonna do my job. I'm gonna do exactly what you say, and I'm gonna go. But then if you give me a little bit of creative freedom, then I'm going to try to do the best I can for you. Like, it's really, it's so weird. It's not, you can't like work in this industry like a robot, which I'd love to be, but you have to deal with people.
People are so messy.
Sorry, do you guys even understand what I'm saying? I don't even know what I'm saying.
I get it.
I was going to say, and Trish, I wanted you to comment on that too, because I know as a super fan and things, maybe you're working on stories. Who knows? But go ahead, Mike's
Well,
yours.
no, I had like 5 questions, but okay. Number 1 is as like the editors of a book, like somebody comes to you with the script. Do you want it already comic book form, or would you rather them have the complete story done and be like, okay, this is my story. Show me how to put it in comic book form. Do you want the complete story, or do you want it to where it looks choppy and broken?
Well, I'm gonna defer to Daphne a little bit here, because she is a writer and an artist, and so she's like the triple threat in comic books, and we hate her. No, we don't. We don't have the talents like she does. So, Daphne, that doesn't really. That question isn't really towards you, but go ahead. I'm kind of interested.
Well, I mean, because it's like there's a couple of things. So when I work on Tall Tales, I'm working with a writer, JD Calderon, and the thing that we always joke about, that he especially says, is that whenever he writes a script, he never gets back what he sees in his head. So in a strange way, it's like, I guess, like, he understands he can't be too precious with his scripts, because on one hand, he knows on a certain level he's not going to get exactly what he wants, so he just wants to make sure that that the important stuff is highlighted, so that he at least gets that. But like, everything else is more like, he allows the artists to be, because even with Oswald, because he hires a lot of artists for that, he wants them to be more creative rather than like, this is the script, you have to follow the script exactly. And the way he does the scripts, and also the way I write the scripts myself, is I like to break them down so that I can see the scenes, I get a feel for them, how the story is broken down. With Tall Tales, he writes literally per issue, where it's like he gives me a script, and that script is what's in that one issue. In terms of my own work, I just literally wrote it straight through, and then I just like break it down. I break it down, and then for issues, and then I break it down even further for scenes. So I prefer like it broken, as you said, because it just makes it easier for me to visualize it.
Yeah, and I have to say my own process. So I have the Compendium of Dread, and those are all prose, but those are all short stories. And in this past year, I've fully embraced the comic book world as far as wanting to get comic books made. And so taking those and scripting them out for this one story that I have, it's I've already got the 8 pages of art, and scripting that out was terrible. I mean, it took me like 4 tries to see that it makes sense, and then it just seemed like every week I was learning something new. It's like, oh, okay, well, placement there is not a good idea, and trying to direct the artist, because again, I mean, I can sketch, I can doodle, but nothing like sequential art. And so trying to keep that in mind and trying to be in an artist's head when I'm not an artist is really difficult. And so like, how do I communicate that? And so what I did was I did the best that I could with the script that I had, sent him as many descriptions as possible. And what he sent back was amazing. And then from there, because I'm the writer and I'm also trying to letter for the first time, I'm able to go in there and screw around with the text so that it doesn't lose the story. So I'm glad that I have that final touch on it to make sure that it works with the art that I got back, because I might have screwed up. And hopefully the reader at the end of the day will never know. Trish, you had another question?
Well, maybe like a question comment type deal, but okay. So like on her question where she asked about what's the hardest part, and of course the work is definitely the hardest, but my thing is just networking, because like I know at least 20 people who will tell you, oh yeah, I can edit that for you, I can proof that for you, I can do this for you. And it's networking to find that editor, that person, or that group that's going to make your book what it is. And I think that's really hard to do, is networking to find the right connection so you get the best quality of work that you can get.
Yep, very cool. All right, and so now we're going to do another splash here. This question is from John. Let's see. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone trying to create their first comic book or graphic novel? One piece of advice. I'll jump in that with really quickly, because I'm kind of doing that. I mean, I have my first comic book credit. It was 2 pages in Luke Stone's trade paperback. Learn the industry. Learn everything that you can about it. All right, I'll pass the mic after that. Who wants it?
Let's see. I think if you're going to create a story, literally have a beginning, middle, and ending. A lot of creators, like, they kind of like try to make up their story as they go along, and then the second they end up against a wall, it's like the book disappears. So save yourself from having that happening by really thinking out your story first, and having that beginning, that middle, that ending, so that you know where you're going when you start it, and you kind of get an idea as to how long it's going to take. I mean, not to bring it well, to bring it back to the book I have. I literally just finished the script about like a month ago, and it's like, just being able to have an actual ending and know where I'm going makes the process so much easier, because now I don't have to worry about the story anymore.
Well, and you wrote out the entire arc, though.
Yeah,
so it wasn't just a book. It was like several.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, so because of that, I know that it's like, okay, so it's like, I have this ending. This is where it's going to end. It's probably going to take, 15 issues, the entire series. And it just makes it easier to break everything down from there, with that information, as opposed to just, I mean, because in the end, that was the reason why the first couple of issues that I was just dabbling in took so long, because it's like, I really didn't have an idea as to where I was going with it. And then it's like, when I finally got the story together, now it's like, oh, it's like fine. It's like I finally got on the highway.
Mog, what about you? Because from what I've read in the few talks that we've had, you kind of tripped into this.
You know what? I don't know your name, the guide question. It's very simple. Just do the work. You know, seriously, just do the work. Stop thinking. Just do it now and get it out there. It doesn't matter if it's a mistake. And because I was actually thinking about that. And you know how we all are so afraid of what fear of failure, right? It's going to fail. But I was reviewing my life and I realized I hardly really failed as much as long as I put an effort, there was a result. There was always a result. It was hardly ever a failure, ever. Like even though like you say I finally created a work, right? And I put it up there. I'm trying to sell it. At least I got one sale or something. It's out there.
Yeah.
And then after, for some reason, like I said, like the Game of Thrones, you think like that happened in an instant? No, that took like 2 years. Like 2 years later, randomly, I'm just getting an email because it got noticed. So even though you might not get an immediate result, because you did the work, there was a result. There's always a result. And I was thinking to myself, it just hit me after all these years. Why am I so afraid of failure? Which I actually never tasted failure. It sounds like weird, but actually, if you want to actually go through it, you really don't fail as a person because you freaking did the work, man. So I'm
exactly.
sorry.
And I was going to say your result might not be the thing that you expected. Is that a failure? No, maybe you just had to pivot or bounce.
Well, I always like to think that even if I just have an audience of one, even if it's just me, I did the work, right? I have this story that entertains me, you know, in front of me. And, you know, so I can't, it's like, yeah, did I fail? No, not at all. I did the work.
Lola.
But
no,
you know,
go ahead,
I might sound like really egotistic when I say this, but don't get me wrong. I make a lot of mistakes. Like you're talking like bleeding money mistakes.
Oh, well.
But I don't see that as a failure. Making mistakes, that's like poor decision. But whenever I actually put an effort, like really just a conscious effort to put some muscle into it, sweat into it, always something comes out. So please do the work.
Lola, comments? You're on mute, girl.
Oh, sorry. No, don't give up, even if you want to. I mean, there was times when I was writing my script where I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do it anymore. I took a break.
Yeah.
And then came back to it. Mm-hmm. And I got it done.
Well, you guys, we are at the 33-minute mark. I'm just going to put this up here really quickly. Listen, if you've got a question for the panel here at Geekgasm, we're trying to keep the boys out of here. So if you want to be a guest, if you are a super fan, if you're a comic creator, if you are a publisher, we want you here. And if you've got questions or comments, send them to Lola at geekgasm@indievolt.com. That's indievolt.com. You guys head over to the YouTube channel as well and give us a like and a subscribe, and make sure that you check us out on Roku as well. Okay, you know what? I know. Well, like I said, I've got a Kickstarter. I know it sounds. Self-promo is really hard for me. Daphne's got one, and then I have Mog's Deviant Art page up here that we can share. You know what? Let me just bring up this share screen here and give Daphne the mic a little bit so that she can talk about Ego Raven.
Thank you.
Of the first unicorn. Let me just grab that really quickly here. Ego Raven. There you go. All right. So look at you. You've got 77 backers, 13 days to go. I mean, you have surpassed your goal, girl. Mm-hmm. You know, the question that I would probably ask, because it was asked of me, why did you set it at 500? I'm kind of curious.
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like I knew at least I could reach 500. So what I did was I set a modest goal for myself so that at least I didn't have to sweat that part. Like, doing a Kickstarter is hard enough as is. So it's like I was just like trying to make it as efficient as possible for me. So at least, the work is done. I'm the one doing it. So it's not like it's like there's other people involved. I already have the proofs done. So 500 it's like, yeah, I could, that's enough for me to do the book, at minimum. So, and within 7 hours, I made that goal. So it's like, okay, now I could just worry about trying to push this forward without having to sweat whether I'm going to have, I'm going to meet goal enough to print it. So it's definitely, being done that way. So right now, we also surpassed the second stretch goal, which is a prequel PDF for the main story. And I guess just to give everyone a, like a quick rundown of it. So Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, is a fantasy drama soap opera. I like to call it like a soap opera type, a medieval soap opera. It was created, written, and illustrated by me. And it's a multi-issue comic book series it's probably going to be around 15 issues in the styles of the Chronicles of Narnia and The Witcher. So the first 32 pages is in full color. The entire series is going to be in full color and introduces Eagle Raven, a half unicorn, half human princess who lives a rather sheltered life in Edenron, a magical valley of elves and unicorns. She is the firstborn of the unicorn king, Alaric, and a human woman turned unicorn through an enchantment. And although Eagle Raven is a princess, she's not really, accepted by the elves, and the unicorns aren't really too crazy about her either, being that whole, mixed breed thing. So the thing is that with the elves in this magical valley, because of the magic of the valley, everyone's pretty much trapped in it, and anyone who comes into the valley becomes trapped in it. So the elves have become really, really enamored with using the valley to trap humans, people into the valley for themselves. So because of all that mixed breeding and interbreeding with humans, the elves have pretty much all lost their own magic, and they depend on the unicorns to survive the world, because what little magic they have, they need the unicorns to I guess allow them to tap into that force. So as a result of that, the royal family hope that an arranged marriage between the elf prince Rillian and Eagle Raven will, I guess, bring magic back to the elves and strengthen the bond again between the elves and the unicorns. But Rillian has different plans, because there's always a but. And instead, he decides that he's going to overthrow his own family with the help of the Dragon Lords, who also want to claim the valley as their own. And what Rillian learns the hard way is that, oh yeah, the dragons will help you, but in the end, they're not going to share power with you. So what happens is that Eagle Raven and her uncle Amadeo are exiled. Well, they escape and they find themselves exiled from their kingdom, and they have to now survive in the world of men. And they've never lived that life before. And because of the stories of how the unicorns would help lure people into the valley for the elves, they don't exactly have a good reputation to start off with to begin with. So so that's pretty much the gist of the first issue. And go ahead.
let me ask you a quick question. What when did this story start coming to you?
About 20 years ago. I had been working on this story. This was my hobby story while I was working pretty much on Tall Tales as my main story. So it started off the seeds of it were planted in high school. And then I just started like mulling it when I was at the School of Visual Arts. And at first the character just started as like a mascot, for like a portfolio mascot. And then the more I kind of noodled with it, the more she became her own character with her own story to tell. And I just kind of just like, dabbled with it here and there, put the pages online as I did them. Like I said, I didn't really have a story, but I just did the pages anyway. So I was just putting them up. And this past, especially this past, like I said, the past 3 months, it was like 20 years of story finally collapsed onto itself into a completed thing. And I really started working on making this an official release when we went into lockdown last year in March. And I figured, well, now that I have all this extra time, let me learn how to color comics. And then I go, you know what? It's probably time for me to put this book out finally, because there was just so much work, just lying there. So I colored in the pages that, like I said, you can see online already at the website at egoworks.com. And re-lettered it, tweaked the artwork, so it's kind of like a remastered edition. And here it is. We're 2 weeks into the Kickstarter, and we're doing pretty good. The royal we. It's just me doing this. I'm so used to talking about Tall Tales, where I'm sharing the mantle, but this one is just me. So yeah,
Very cool.
Uh-huh.
And I am going to throw up another question here. We've got this from Kim, and then we're going to throw a little love on Mog's art, because I've got her DeviantArt page queued up next. Let's see what Kim has to say here. How do you make your own work stand out? This is from Kim.
Wow.
Mog, go ahead. I see you shaking your head.
Well, I mean, that's a bloody hard question.
Yeah.
That's what I ask myself every day.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, but you know what, Kim? What I get from the reactions from people, it's not me, is whenever I do art that I like doing it, it seems to get the best response. But also with that, okay, I learned, again, this is just my experience, it's not the answer, is you have to become really good at what you do. There is no, people would spend, like ask yourself, you're spending money on somebody's skill. It better be damn good, if I'm gonna spend a penny on you. It's so good that I want to spend a penny on you. So you like what you do, but you gotta really master the craft. And to get to that level, I think I'm finally getting to a level, because all this time, this is 20 years of drawing. I thought I was a fraud, because whenever I was drawing, I didn't enjoy it at all. I mean, we're talking countless hours of drawing. And you think, oh, I'm doing this for fun. I'm in La La Land. No, it's
work.
It's so hard. I keep telling sometimes to my, at the time, my parents who were supporting me, but now I don't have anybody to complain to. It's like construction work. It's literally mental construction work. And you're actually working with your dexterity too. So, and then every time it's the whole time you suck at it, of course you're gonna hate what you do. And you have to go through that too. And only when you become good at what you do and you start to enjoy the process, when you start to enjoy the process, then there's an inkling that, oh, maybe you are finally becoming good at that level. When you're bicycling, you hate the first moments because you keep falling. But when you finally not even thinking about bicycling, you're enjoying the view, that's when you mastered riding. So as long as you get to that level, automatically, I believe, this is just my experience, people will notice you.
And I want to pass the mic to Nita and Trish, because as fans and supporters of indie creators, what stands out to you? What is it that we could do better to get your attention?
Go ahead, Trish.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I'll talk. So for me, it is something, something that is somewhat familiar to me will grab my attention, and then you do your spin on it. So I don't know if Miss Kim is an artist or if she's a writer or what she does, but like something, if you are new, like pull people in with something familiar to them, like Travis and Oz. You know what I mean? I know the story of Oz, but you know what? It's his version, or there's Tom Hutchinson's version of it, or you know what I mean? And you pull people in with something that's familiar, and it sparks some kind of interest in them, and then you go from there. And also like if you're an artist, like something that I have not seen before, you know, if it's an art type. You know, Brian's doing the whole 360 degree for Tom, where there's 3 different covers. And if you would put them in a triangle, you have a whole complete view. And it is amazing artwork, because who would have thought of a 360 degree view of a comic book? You know, I mean, no, nobody does. So it's amazing. It's something new, something crazy, but something that we've all seen a million times. Who hasn't seen 360 degree, but not in a comic book? So just go on something that brings people in, but then do your own thing.
Mm-hmm. Nita, how about you? What grabs your attention?
Pretty much the same. If you're doing something that's violent and bloody, then I want it to be that. That's what I'm looking for when I'm picking that up. If you're doing something erotic and dirty, I want it filthy. That's what I'm looking for when I pick it up. It just
none of that fake stuff.
No, give it to me. You know,
yeah, none of that halfway bullshit.
Yeah. No. Which is crazy, because that's what I ended up writing for my first script, some halfway bullshit. But it's building up, because it has to go beyond that. But anyway, yeah, I like originality too. And I like dark. So with my freaking Alice in Wonderland shit all over my fucking room. I like dark. Fuck all this pink shit.
Lola, what stands out for you? Well, as a publisher, you know, you have a couple of hats and a few perspectives.
Yeah, but my husband mainly does the comics.
Mm-hmm. But when you support something, what grabs your attention?
I like fantasy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The colors, the cover.
Yeah.
Stuff that just grabs my attention. Sorry, it's kind of hard to answer this question. I'm not really sure.
Daphne, what about you then? I mean, because as an artist, you probably have more of a critical eye, like Mog, when it comes to other people.
Well, I mean, because it's like for myself, how does stand out is like, it's like what where are we? We're over here. Mog said, it's like, that's a question I ask every time. It's like, how do I stand out? How do I stand out? And yeah, and for me, it's like, it's like doing the work as best as I can. I mean, but also it's like, there's also like a marketing aspect to it too. And it's like, that's why, you know, also, you know, linking my work to the familiar, you know, it's like that's the whole thing about, it's like, oh, this is like Lord of the Rings, this is like Disney's Robin Hood, this is like Chronicles of Narnia, this is like Witcher. So it's like, at least it gives people the familiar to latch onto, and then you kind of like, it's like kind of like open that door for them type of thing. I mean, in terms of like what attracts my attention, it's like, the fantasy stuff, if you're doing fantasy, it's like, I'm like, oh, hello. It's like, if you're doing especially like some Beauty and the Beast type theming, I'm like, oh, hello there. Actually, what's funny, because it's like, that's how I got familiar with Mog's work. She did this, what was it, this Sansa piece that just like pressed all my buttons, and I'm like, wait, who is this? Who is this? I must know you. It's like, so it's in terms of like what attracts my attention, it's like, it's like, okay, what pushes my buttons? And also to go with Nita, it's like, you better, it's like, I don't like mealy mouth stuff. Like, I want creators to be committed to what they're doing. Like, it's like, I don't like halfway stuff. Like, it's like, if you're doing a particular type of genre, a particular type of story, commit to it. It's like, if you're doing adult stuff, I want to see commitment.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, and for me also, the people who stand out are the people who put themselves out there, but also stay positive. They're not shit talking
really.
anybody. They're not tearing anybody else down.
Right.
Yeah,
And they're decent human beings. I mean, I will throw support at a creator, not because I necessarily want their work, but because they're a good person and I want to see them continue with the dream.
I mean,
so there's that too.
You could be super talented, but if I like learn that you're like an a-hole or something, and it's like, it's like, you know what? I don't need to support you.
I'm not backing you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and if you do, there's no motivation to go back. So I mean, it's really, for me, a part of it is definitely story, because I'm story oriented. I come from prose. Artwork will grab me all the time. And this might be a discussion for another time, but the covers and alternate covers and things like that, because I recently got a comic book. I wasn't allowed to flip through it because it was an online purchase. The inside art was crap. I mean, I got it for the cover.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's probably for another day, because I think we could probably spend an hour on that.
Yeah.
At least.
Wait, I do have one quick thing though. How do you guys feel when an author changes their name for a different type of genre, like Anne Rice did when she wrote her dirty books? And she went to a surname. How do you guys feel about that? Because they don't want their name associated. Or Stephen King, he changed his for The Running Man because it wasn't quite horror-ish enough for him. So he went to Stephen Bach. So how do you guys feel about that?
It doesn't bother me at all, because I once read, I had another author explain that sometimes they do that so that they can have overlapping contracts without the books kind of like competing with each other. I think like that in and of itself is more like a marketing thing rather than the author is ashamed, because in the end, eventually everybody finds out who these people are. It's not like Anne Rice is hiding her Sleeping Beauty work. It's not like, so it's just that at the time they needed to go under a pseudonym for, I guess, whatever, like a contractual or reason more than anything else. Because if they were really that ashamed of the work, they wouldn't have put it out at all.
Speaking of like half-assed, I wrote an erotica and a little novella, and I struggled with the pseudonym. I was just like, do I want my family to know that I wrote this? Do I want my kids to find out and stuff like that? So my pseudonym was MJ Lochren.
No,
all right.
no.
Like
Nobody
big
knew that.
mystery there, right? Like, oh my gosh, they're never gonna know it's me. And I was just like, at this point, I'm like, I don't even care. But it was just one of those things where I was like, I want my name associated to it because I wrote it. But I understand also if I'm writing something for all ages and my name is associated with erotica, I might lose that audience.
Well, but also it's like I just decided that's, I'm not going to worry about doing all ages stuff either. So because it's like, because what's funny, because like when I was really considering the marketing for Ego Raven, for a little while I toyed around with like, oh, maybe it's more like I should market it like a young adult thing. And then I'm like and then as I finished the story, and there's a couple of particular scenes, and I'm like going, you know what? No, I don't want, I want to be able to do my work the way I want it without worrying about whether a particular, marketing term is going to keep me from doing that. So I just removed it altogether, the whole YA concept. And I just went, okay, to soap opera instead. And I think like, when you hear soap opera, you kind of think about how the story ends up going, and it's like, I don't feel it's quite as restricting as like saying, oh well, but it's like, nah. And also it's like, yeah, and I do have erotica under my actual name, so it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna save myself the trouble. And it's like, look, this is, if you can watch Game of Thrones a little bit, we can work with that, but it's more like The Witcher than Game of Thrones, so we can work with that.
Now I am going to add Mog's art here. Look how gorgeous that is.
Yeah.
Mog, can you tell us a little bit about this piece?
Sure. This is actually Tom Hutchinson's current Kickstarter. That's for the Wicked West that's going on. And this is a surprise cover that I worked with him 2 years ago. And yeah, it's basically thinking about like what Trish said, familiar with unfamiliar. This is Dorothy of Oz in a wild, wild Western kind of thing. And here she's basically, this is where she's amped up power. Like she conquered the wicked witch, and now she's just like mutated into this powerful being here. And this one was a stretch goal that I think if you hit 17,000, which he already hit, it'll be the back cover of the books. So I was very honored that he included this piece. So please, guys, support Tom Hutchinson's Dorothy of Oz, like Wicked West.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love the detail.
Thank you.
Absolutely love
That
the
is
detail on
incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I have some other things to show you if you guys okay with that.
Sure, would love to see that.
This is another cover that is going to happen in literally 6 days, like next week, Monday. It's Nero Reborn, and Nero X Reborn is by Bill Mouse, and it's produced by Thomas Doherty. And this has been like, I think since around the 90s, this series has been there, kind of like Lady Death. But these guys are, for the first time, are going to go through a Kickstarter production instead of going the regular production line. And if you are interested in this, please support these guys. They're kind of nervous because it's their first Kickstarter and they don't know what it's going to be. And for the premise, it's kind of like, if you think about like time travel, so the world ends. So the beginning starts with the world is ending, right? And this girl, Nira, she somehow gets transported away from the world being literally like just blown up. And she realizes that she has this gadget that actually helps her travel time. So her whole mission is trying to find a way where she can stop the apocalypse from happening. So this is her in her current, the story goes, her present self. And then, of course, because if you time travel so much, you're going to meet yourself too, right? So this is her future self. So this is and then this is the story for this particular cover was a medieval kind of time. So that's why I added like this medieval tapestry feeling. And because they're the same person, I added like wing as symbolism. They don't have wings. but I added this as my own interpretation to show that they're somehow tied like twins. So there you go. That's Nira X Reborn. Please support these guys. They'll be coming out in January 25, which is next week, Monday.
Cool.
And then
I was going to say, I've seen some of the cards that you did. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but it was like Egyptian.
oh
And
yeah,
those
Yeah.
little details that you do seems, in my opinion, that would be kind of like your signature. All of those little tiny details that probably drive most artists crazy.
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. I do love storytelling visually.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that if you have props, by the way, the one you were talking about, Meredith, is called Spectress and Savanian.
Yes.
It's a really
yes.
good story. Yeah, I really believe like props really do tell a story. You don't have to like write it out. You can just visually tell. So this one is this is not colored by me. It's actually colored by Dan. Gosh, I think his name is Wilson Ramos. He colored it.
Wilson. Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
I went to school with him. Yeah, I hang out.
Okay. Well, this is a night version that he created, and this is only going to be offered within the first 48 hours. And after the
Wow.
48 hours, it will not ever be shown again.
Hmm.
So, but the regular cover is going to look like this.
Okay.
So this is the one that you can like support if you guys, and this is only an alternate cover. You don't have to buy my covers, but please just support these guys and support the story. The story is time travel, fantasy, all adventure, action, everything. So it's gonna be great.
Small world.
Very
Small
cool.
world.
That is so neat. So making connections on Geekgasm. That's
Yeah, there
pretty
you go,
awesome.
yeah.
Mhm, yeah. So right here, now this one is by Michael Dolce.
See,
He was,
the detail there is just
Yeah.
stunning.
all right, thank you. Okay, so this is a cover that he has a story of a sire. He's called Sire by Michael Dolce, and this is a variant cover that I'm doing. It's colored. It's going to be colored by Danielle Caramanico. This is also a Kickstarter that's going to be starting next week, guys. And these are the two ladies, and she's like short and spunky. She's very feminine, so I kind of try to adhere to their personality. So this is actually vintage Victorian era burlesque. Nowhere in the story is like that, but this is just creative freedom. So she has that Captain Navy kind of like officer get up, and if you really look closely, she doesn't actually have any jewelry on her. It's just all straight up uniform, but her personality and her cuteness and everything like carries it on. Whereas this one, she's more feminine and delicate. So there's a lot of feathers, there's jewelry, there's bracelets, lace, all that corset going on. I mean, and of course, this is the character Sire. That's what the whole story is about. They're holding, like a picture of those two, of this guy, kind of like saying, "Did you call? I mean, let's have a good time," That's just like my storytelling, and this is the colored version. So
Beautiful.
I think it came out really nice. So it's a different feel. So there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah, and there's another one also that's coming out, Tales of Bizarre. It's an anthology book going back to the Pulp Fiction era of sci-fi fantasy. And if you're a fan of that, then this is definitely for you. And so imagine like, kind of like Ripley, going into an alien planet, but instead of aliens, you encounter alien ants, tiny little things. You think they're like harmless, but then once you get all these hordes coming at you, that's when the real danger starts. So it's kind of like, I would say, horror sci-fi-ish, which is very interesting. I'm actually looking forward to this story, this one here. But again, watch out for this. It's going to be coming out pretty. I think this will also come out this month in January. So
Very cool. So three campaigns to keep an eye out for, you guys, with Mog art on it.
yes, actually four campaigns.
Four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think you don't have time, right? It's we passed an hour, so I'll stop there.
Okay.
I don't know. You can't. It's like you showed that last piece, and I go, "Oh, it's a little bit, a little something for
Yeah,
that."
just a little bit of something
Okay.
here.
All right. If you
Throw
want to
us
see,
the bone.
all right, sure. Every Sunday, I'm on Artist Alley Shopping Network, AASN, on Facebook. And what I do is I sell sketches or live auctions like this. And this is one of the sketches I sold. If you know the classic anime, like way back in the early 90s, this is Rei from, gosh, I forgot the anime. Gosh, she's like she's a gunslinger. I'm sorry, I'm totally blanking here, but
That's I did want to ask you about that because I've seen that in the last couple of months where I've been following the auctions and things like that. Do you invite other artists to those things?
yes. In fact, I can quickly show you. This one is for the Artist Alley Shopping Network. It's only me, and because it's also run by Tom Hutchinson, so only which is this one right here. This is only for the artists themselves, but the one I separately run because I like to support the community and everything is sorry. This is some of the sketches that I sold. It's this one here. Mel and I created something called Draw and Bid. And Draw and Bid happens once a month at the end of every month. And if you guys are interested, please, become part of the team if you like. I mean, or just submit an artwork and we'll see. It's like the idea was like drink and draw, but instead of just drinking and drawing, at the end of the day, after you sketch it out, you sell it. Just to people. And I'm gonna just warn you, it's not gonna sell for hundreds of dollars. It's like they sell very cheap, like sometimes it's $5, sometimes you can't go over $200, but that's on the rare case. But either way, we all have fun, and it just feels good, especially for people who are starting out like just drawing.
I have seen some amateur drawers, people who have put their art out there, and I mean, maybe it sold for $1, maybe it sold for $5, but it was like their first sold piece, which was kind of cool for them.
Yeah, they love that, and I really love watching them grow. Like for example, this one was a particular theme called Princess Knight. So you see different artists interpreting, like this guy did like a black and white. By the way, this is the Draw and Bid. So this month's theme is D&D.
Oh,
yeah. So please.
There you go, Daphne. What do you think? I can see you. I can see you throw down in that.
I've been watching the channel for a while. I mean, it's just fitting everything into my schedule. So
yeah, especially with the campaign going.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no worries. It doesn't. Yeah, it's just
that's so cool. So I mean, so people can find the Draw and Bid through finding Mog on Facebook.
Yes, just Mog Park. Come to my Facebook and look at the posts. And these are some of the artists' different interpretations of the same Princess Knight. You can see how it goes.
I love that. It kind of goes with the writing prompts that I used to do, where you would put up an image, and it could be something from Pixabay or whatever, and just say, write a story, write a 300-word story based on this image, and everybody has a completely different story. And I love the concept of putting up a theme or just an idea and say, okay, draw. I love that.
Yes, exactly. So that's it. Thank you for listening.
All right, cool. And we are just past the 1 hour mark. You know what I'm going to do is a little bit of Geekgasm station identification. We'll be right back after this. And that was just in case you didn't realize you are watching Geekgasm on IndieVolt. If you've got a question or comment, head over to geekgasm@indievolt.com. Drop your question. We'll put up a splash and we'll talk about it on air. We are live streaming every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, we've got one last question here, and this is from Sarah. What artist or writer inspired you to get into the comic book field? What artist or writer inspired you to get into the comic book field?
Wendy Pini on ElfQuest.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Come on, we don't want dead air.
Stanley, of course. I'm Jack Kirby Stanley. I'm old school. You know what I mean? I'm not a creator. I'm not an artist, but I mean, that's when I started, reading my books was the old school stuff. So, I mean, they're amazing. Old school.
Mm-hmm. Lola?
My husband, actually.
Oh.
Oh, what a great answer.
Family affair.
Yeah, I mean, I really was not. I wasn't in the comic book industry. Didn't read comics, nothing like that, until I got with my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Then he introduced me to a whole new world, and then just through the years, watching him write and draw inspired me to start writing.
That's awesome. Anybody else? Inspiration.
Sam Keith.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, the Max was fucking amazing. So
I have to say, for me, because I am so brandy new to comic books, that I'm not really inspired by comics necessarily, but storytelling was always Stephen King, like his older work. Robert R. McCammon, Clive Barker, and things like that, where those stories just fully immersed you into like the dark and the odd and things like that. So that and I guess some of the dark dreams that I have, the inspiration behind some of the stories, like, where did that come from? It's like that. How did that possibly come from me? Because I don't consider myself dark, but I love writing dark. I don't know what that is. Mog, what about you? Inspirations?
You guys won't know it, but because I was actually born Korean, when I was a kid, I didn't even know comic books existed. And this one girl on a school bus, she was opening this monthly magazine that's filled with comics. In Korea and Japan, we have like a monthly or bi-weekly anthology book, and it's always like stories. And there's this one particular Korean lady she was famous back then, and I was like blown away. And then for books, it's actually Robert Jordan, The Wheel of Time. You guys don't know if you don't know fantasy. And also for comics, I'm just like Lola. It's through my husband. Everything's through my husband.
See, and I want to get my hands on some of those Korean anthologies now, because I am very curious. I'm like, okay, where do I have to go to find those? Because I'm like far removed from the Korean connection now.
I don't know now either. I haven't touched them for over, like 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if they still publish them. That would be kind of cool.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, do they?
It's huge.
Yeah. All right, I gotta start hammering down on some of my relatives. Let me see. Varian over here says, I've got Wheel of Time books, but Lola won't read them.
oh,
Lola,
they're good.
what's up with that?
I got a lot of stuff on my plate, man.
Yeah. No, I feel ya. After watching The Witcher, I picked up the books, and I've still yet to start reading them.
Mhm.
It's just like
I
it's
do enough
between.
reading at college. I don't know how to read right now.
Well, if I could bother you guys to share my Kickstarter, because I've got 7 days
Oh,
left.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do it.
So here we go. It is the Compendium of Dread. It's the anthology of dark fiction. I've got 53 backers, 7 days to go. I've reached goal, but I'm trying to reach the stretch goal to unlock the metal card, which I have here. I have them in hand.
Nice.
The comic book connection here, let me just close this out. The comic book connection was turning these stories, because I've had these stories. I've written these over like 4 years ago. And even then, it was just a process of compiling them all together, editing them, expanding on a lot of the stories, because most of them are just really, they were like microfiction. So again, with those challenges that we had where we'd put up a picture and say, okay, write 100 words or write 300 words, that you need a shit ton of stories to make a decent book that anybody might want to buy. So I had to extend on those stories a lot. But then again, kind of tripping into the comic book world, it was one of those things where I saw these not as a movie, but I saw them in panels, which is weird. I don't know if it's just me kind of going crazy maybe, but I'm starting to dream in comic book panels. Like what would go there? Oh, the thought bubbles and the dialogue and I'm starting to dream like that. It's almost like, okay, I don't know. I'm going to age myself. When we played Tetris, I was so addicted to that. I would dream about the falling boxes and shit. So it's kind of like that with comic books and the script. So the idea behind this is to take the prose and make them into scripts. I've got right now 3 of them in various stages of scripting out. The Dying is the one that I'm furthest along with. It's 8 pages. The art is done. Awesome. Lettering right now. And that is going to be in Terraform The Continuum, which is a collection of stories, and we're getting ready to launch that very soon on Kickstarter, the first anthology. My story is not going to be in there, but I am going to have another story in there, which is kind of cool. So what I did was, with the last 7 days, I have these add-ons. So you can get a mug if you want to. I've got a bloody tote bag here. I've got one option where there's one left. It was very, very limited, where I'm offering 5 brand new stories that are going to go into this book. And so that those stories are going to be dedicated to the person who supported that tier, but they can either be a character that is murdered. They could be the murderer. I mean, or they can, basically volunteer a frenemy, that they want slayed or whatever. So that's kind of like the fun part of that. But this Kickstarter isn't really about the book. I could have taken the book and I could have put it on Amazon very easily. The Kickstarter is really to support the artists, because I don't do the art, so I have to pay for the art. And so what I did was down here, this is what I was trying to scroll to, is showing you a preview that there is art that's done. This is a process that's happening. So I'm kind of marrying my world of prose with my world of comic books. And hopefully you're going to see, when you read The Dying in the Compendium of Dread, and then you see the first 8 pages and you're like, I know what's coming. What's it going to look like in comic book form? I'm so excited about this. This is art that was done by Antonio Brandão in Portugal. Just amazing work that he's done. And again, for me being kind of a first-time script writer and putting it out there, like, oh, I hope that he translates my words into this vision. And he came back to me, he says, I love horror. He's like, this is right up my alley. And this is a sketch right here that I used just to show like another panel. It's like one of my favorites so far. So I'm very excited about this. We've unlocked the sticker and the bookmark. The metal card is next, and then there's a little bit about me. But I mean, that's my campaign in a nutshell. It's I'm very excited about that process, and it has not been easy. It hasn't, and
but it's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun too. I mean, Nita kind of, I get her sometimes at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, come look at this page with me. What's wrong with it?
I love how you made me seem so nice. Like I was giving you this like sweet and gentle feedback when I was like, this panel looks like a clusterfuck.
Yeah. She's like, it's a little busy. You need to work on that. It's like, yep. Thanks. I need friends like that, though. I
love
think
you.
that's so important as creators, and creative people. This whole panel here, we need to be open to that. Not to people who just say, "Oh, that's junk," and have nothing else to offer.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, can you speak to that? Speak to the feedback that you get normally. What is helpful? What is a critique, and what is kind of like an insult? Like, how do you differentiate what's uplifting you and trying to make you level up, and maybe what's tearing you down? Because a lot of times there's a fine line. There's that.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive kind of crap that goes on.
Mm.
Well, and also it depends on how much my ego gets involved. Because there are just some days that even if you have an actual critique to tell me, I don't want to hear it.
I have to say, Daphne, when
Yeah.
you sent me the arc of your story, Ego Raven, and I was just like, I see spelling errors. I'm like, do I tell her? I'm like, I should tell her. I would be a bad friend if I didn't. Because I'm the type of person who, like, if I had a booger hanging out of my nose and one of my friends didn't tell me, I'm gonna be pissed.
Oh no, no,
okay?
but
I'm the friend
I really appreciated the spelling errors because it's like those are the things I really need to catch.
It's like I don't want to spend all day wondering how long that's been hanging there, and it's the same thing with our books and stuff. If you see something wrong, that's okay. Tell us. That makes it better, and then we don't look like a dumbass. But if you're just saying no, it's crap, and you have nothing else to give,
but that's really
keep it
what
to
it
yourself.
is. Yeah, it's like if that's pretty much the extent of it, and you have nothing to add to it, the information is worthless. It's like, oh, it's crap. It's like, okay, your mom's. I mean, it's like it's like, what do you want me to do with that? So yeah, I mean, it's like, but the thing is, though, it's like, I sent out those arcs for a reason. It's because I wanted that feedback. So so it's like, in that case, it's like I really did have to push my brain out. And it's like, okay, I'm going to get some feedback that and the thing is that I got feedback that I wasn't expecting. Kind of had to mull it over because it's like I was kind of like a little uptight about it, but at the same time it was like, oh, wait a minute, they have a point. And then what was funny was that as I finished the story, I took what they told me, which was completely unexpected, and incorporated it into the story. So in the end, it was just like, yeah, I did need it, but it's like, yeah, sometimes it's like, if it's out of the blue, but if I'm asking for it at the same time, I kind of have to get over myself and just accept what comes and see what happens. But yeah, if you're just going to tell me I suck, it's like, okay, whatever.
Well, no, see, like, okay, I was on Backer Pause and they showed me your video, Daphne. And honestly, I was scared because the next day I was on the last show with you.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, oh my God, she's going to hate me because I didn't like her video. And I'm like,
no.
okay.
Well, was it too long? Was it too long?
I didn't understand the story. I just saw leaves falling.
Right. Okay. All right.
And I'm like, okay, where is this going? What does this have to do with the Kickstarter? What does this have to do with the book? And even Meredith, I had to like cover up her face with the sticky note when I was like, Meredith, I didn't like your video.
Yeah, no, what she wanted me to have like spiders crawling across my mouth, and I was like, I love that. That would be amazing. Yeah,
right.
But,
but you know what's funny?
That feedback's very important.
Yeah, but you see now for my next video, I'm going to keep you in mind. It's like, oh, maybe I should clarify the story more. Maybe I should keep it shorter, So right now it's like, okay.
Well, no, honestly, if you would have, because you're asking me to pay, no offense, like then this is exactly what I said. You want me to pay $40 to watch leaves fall off the trees. Okay, great. Honky dory. I can go outside for free and do that.
Right.
And watch
yeah.
$40. And that's honestly what I
wow.
said. And I thought you were going to yell at me, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
God.
Oh,
No, wait,
$40 is the
honest.
shiny edition or something. That's like all the shiny stuff.
That's
so
the
it's like,
bells
wow.
and whistles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's like if I was trying to convince you to buy all the bells and whistles, it wasn't working.
Right. but
And
I'm
Mike
looking
says
at it.
here, I will have Trish
Works for
make my
me.
videos, so she has to like it.
All right. Oh, there you go.
Oh my god.
It's not easy, especially again
Right.
when like for me as a writer, for anybody else who is an artist and stuff, we're focusing on that. So when it comes to making a video and stuff and promoting ourselves, sometimes we are like shit promoters when it comes to
Right.
self-promotion.
Well,
And it takes
it's
a lot
learning
of
process.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because Daphne, I mean, you've spent a lot of time at con tables. So
Yeah.
you kind of have your pitch down, you know exactly
Right.
what you're doing.
Well, even then, it's a malleable process because now I'm wondering. Okay, because now I have to ask. It's like, well, okay, the video wasn't enough to sell a $40 bundle, but was it enough to sell a $10 book?
Mm-hmm.
Because the main the basic level was like $10 plus $3 shipping. So
I
so
think
it's like
I thought
you
so.
would have wanted like
But
what, like
that's-
more information, more story.
See, I think my biggest critique with that, I think, was the fact that I wanted more voiceover because I'm always thinking in podcast.
Right.
So anybody who's only listening will have no idea,
Okay. All right.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Your fan base got you a lot of your likes. I will
Yeah.
tell you that right now. And who bought your books, but it wasn't just random Joe going through the Kickstarters and
Right.
looking at videos. It
Right.
is your fan base that is getting your books right now. It's not, oh, well, that looked interesting. Let me jump on that bandwagon. And I am being completely honest, and please don't think I'm a hurtful person.
No, because
saying-
because that's also something that I've heard before, but like on other videos where it's like, okay, yeah, because I guess like I was making this for a fan base that I knew was already there, but yeah, what if you were somebody who just didn't know anything?
right.
And that's
how-
what I am. I just met you like 3 weeks ago, a month ago,
Right.
not even that long ago.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know anything. And I'm seeing leaves fall and you're asking $10 from me.
Right.
I know nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing though. So it's like, because part of my thinking process with the video is that you still have to scroll down and read and read the information. So is it safe to say that the video makes you scroll down, or is scrolling down part of your process and the video just like didn't do it for you? Or
When I do it, I'll look at the video and I'll watch the video, and then if I'm confused, then I'll okay, it's a D&D story is what I got out of going down,
Okay.
and it's an
Mhm.
advanced D&D story is the way I looked at it.
Okay.
And I was like, it's okay, but I just wish the video would have showed a little bit more, because this is my first
Okay.
time introduction into your world, into Daphne's world, and I'm like, okay, show me what's in your world. And all I got was leaves.
Okay. So all right. I guess I was just like too specific with the one issue as opposed to introducing the okay. All right. You see, there we go. That works for me. I can work with that.
And it's like almost
right.
And JD's video, it was the wording. The wording is what turned me off on his video. It was the continuing. Okay, so now I feel like I've already lost out. I'm brand new to this, and I just turned into it because me and Mike were late starters to like the indie world. We've only since COVID really started diving into the indie world. Oh, so now I've already missed out. Okay, why even bother scrolling through because of the video and the continuing? Okay. Well,
Right.
Okay. All right.
So
You
that
see,
is really good.
yeah,
And that's something that we could definitely talk about, because we're getting to the 90-minute mark, you guys, and I want to go around the room so everybody can know where to follow you. I always say it's okay to stalk us on the internet. Just don't peek in our windows. All right, you got it. All right. Who are we going to start with first? Let's start with well, Trish, yeah, you had the last word here. Let's put you up on the big screen. Where
Okay.
can people follow you, our super fan here?
Yeah, I'm Trish. I'm on Facebook. You can follow me or Mike. Just hit us up if you want us to look at something to buy, to purchase. Definitely we're there. We're on Kickstarter, so or Indiegogo or any of the other podcasts or selling shows. So y'all have a good night. Thank you.
All right, Trish, we appreciate you for being here on Geekgasm. All right, who's going to be next? It's like Russian roulette. We never know. Nita. Oh.
My name is Nita Lanning. You can find me on Facebook and Haps TV as Nita Lanning and on YouTube as Creating Chaos.
Okay. Let's see. Mog. Let's get you up on the big screen here.
Hi, I'm Mog Park. Find me at Mog Park, Facebook and Instagram, and ArtStation.
That's awesome. Okay. Really short and sweet there. How about Artist Alley Shopping Network?
Oh, yes. every Sunday, 6 p.m. California time, PST time. I'm there. So if you want to say hi and then look at my processes and stuff, or just want to become friends and just chat, please join me. Thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, and watch out for drawing bid on my page once a month.
Cool. All right, you guys, I'm Meredith Lochren. You can find me at linktree.com/MEREJ99. That is where you can find the links to all of my stuff from Geek Insider to Geekgasm to my Kickstarter campaign. Make sure that you head over there and give me a follow. All of my socials are there. I'm going to pass the mic to Ms. Daphne here.
Hi. So you can find all my links to everything at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS.com. You can find all my social media sites there. You can find my links to my Kickstarter. You can find a link to Tall Tales if you prefer your fantasy to be more Lord of the Rings type rather than soap opera type. And also, if you do want to peek in my windows, I do have a link. I do have a link to my Fur Affinity account, which contains which I am currently uploading my House of Bob erotic furry art collection uncensored.
Wow.
So now I have a place to send everybody. So the link is at egoworks.com.
Sweet. Indie Princess.
Well, I'm not as organized as Daphne and you, Meredith. I don't have a link for links, but I'm on all social medias. Just look up the Indie Princess. You can find me there.
And tell us about your shoe cam and where we can support you and Indie Volt and this station.
My shoe cam, yeah, it was a joke at first, but people like it, so I keep it up. Every week I have different shoes to show. And I need more. So go to my Facebook and you will find my Amazon wish list. Or go in the comments and the link is there also.
And don't forget to head over to streamlabs.com/indievolt/tips. All of these tips really help support keeping this network up and alive. Servers cost money, you guys, so let's keep this going. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? I'm having one of those days, you guys.
You got everybody.
We got everybody? All right, so we're going to end this show here. Everybody, strike a pose so we can take a screenshot. All right, beautiful. You guys are gorgeous. And thank you so much for being part of Geekgasm. Make sure that you tune in, head over to the YouTube channel, Indie_Volt. Hit the subscribe button, share it out with your friends. On that note, you guys have a great evening. We will see you next week.
Ciao.